Hi everybody, I'm Emily. Thanks for joining for our Leaf Youth lesson today. And today I have with me Thula, my niece. You want to say hi? And we're going to do two simple kitchen science experiments today. So we're going to show you how to do them so you can try them out at your own house. And they're really easy, but it's a fun project to do using simple things from your kitchen. We are going to start by talking about how plants absorb water and how water travels through the plants, carrying the nutrients and the water that we all know that plants need a lot of water, right? That's one of the key things they need to grow. Plants use the water to carry their nutrients to their roots, their stems, their leaves, and flowers. And it prevents them from drying out and wilting. So water is really important to how plants grow. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how they do it, but first let's set up our experiment. First, you're going to need celery, and you want to get sticks that have a lot of leaves on them because they're gonna show our example a little better. All right, so Thula, can you pull 3 sticks of celery off here? Try to find ones with lots of leaves. And then you want a couple different glasses. We're going to do a couple different colors in our experiment, so you need as many glasses as different colors you want to do. And you also need, so the supplies you need are water, food coloring, and your celery. All right, you got 3? Mm-hmm. Excellent. So we're also going to cut the ends off of them so that they have a fresh starting point to absorb water. So I'm going to do that really quickly, just cut a very small, like a 1/2 inch off the bottom of each. And then we're going to take our 3 cups and we're going to fill them each about halfway with water. You want to do the water, Thula?
Sure.
Thank you. I'll get a stirrer for when we add our coloring. Good job. All right, so we're going to do 3 colors. So we've got our 3 cups of water. You can fill them, that's probably plenty. The next step is that we're going to add our food coloring. So we have some tubes of gel food coloring, but you can use the liquid drops too. The gel one, you just have to work a little harder to stir it in. And I like to add a lot of food coloring to try and get as much of a result as we can. So we're going to do about 6 or 8 drops of each color into each cup. So what should we do in the first cup?
I want to do teal.
Okay, so let's do our teal. So a little bit of green. And what else do you add to make it a teal?
Blue.
Blue, nice. I would add like 5 drops of the blue and teal, so that total we have about 6 or 8 drops in there. Now because our celery is already green, the green might not show up as much as the blue dye, but it still will work. It just might not get as dramatic effect, but we'll show you how that looks at the end. All right, stir that in. All right, nice. And then go ahead and put one of the stalks of celery in there. I get that, don't worry. All right, what do you want to put in this next color? Do you want to do all the colors first? Maybe we should do a red one?
Okay.
All right, so do like you said, like 5 or 6 to 8 drops.
How many?
6 drops. Let's do 6 drops of red. This isn't a very precise part of the experiment. What's going to happen is we're going to see sort of the magic happen over time. So while Thula starts to add that color, and you can pick whatever color you want for the 3rd one. So I'll let you finish making our water. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stick our celery in each of those cups. And what is going to happen there is we are going to see how a plant moves water from the base of it to the other parts of it. So we're going to be able to see how a plant moves water. It's going to take time because it doesn't happen instantly, but a celery is a good example because it actually has a lot of water movement pretty quickly. And the way that it does it is that plants like celery, or we're actually going to add some flowers in the mix too, or flowers or other plants, they have a special type of cell or tissue called a xylem. Have you heard of a xylem before? No? Well, it's a special type of tissue, and what it does is it kind of acts like a special straw, and it's how plants move water through their stalks, from the roots to the stalks, and through the plants to the leaves and the stems and flowers as well. If you've ever seen a tree stump and you've seen it like sliced and with all the different rings, you've seen xylem. Those are in a tree. Plants have xylem that lasts for about a year, and then they die, and then they will start new ones. So each year the ring shows the difference between the old and the new xylem. So since in a tree it takes that year, so that is why we see those rings. So you see those rings, and they show the different ones. But in a celery stalk, you actually have lots of xylem coming through, and we'll be able to see that when we look at our example at the end. So it's made of lots of tiny tubes. I like to think of them as straws. And then the way water works, water likes to stick to water. So on the molecular level, water likes to stick to water, and then water also likes to stick to the material the xylem are made from, which is called cellulose. So this allows the water, go ahead, yeah, you can do the next one. This allows the water to rise up through the plant through a process called capillary action. So as the plant uses the xylem, it uses it like capillaries in our bodies and in our blood systems. It's how the liquid is transported. And then as water evaporates from the leaves, the lack of water and the drying out on that level will allow more water to come up from the bottom, and it continues that process. So over time, more and more water moves through the plant. Some evaporates, more comes up from, if we were talking about plants in the ground, it would be coming up from the soil through the roots, or if we're talking about plants that are like our flowers in a vase, it's coming up through the water that we put in our vase or in our cups for this example. So what we're going to do, now that we have 3 colors, so we've got a teal, we've got a red, and what's the third color?
Rose.
A rose color too. Okay, awesome. So we're going to put 1 stalk of celery in each of these. Can you do that for me?
Okay.
So those have been freshly cut at the bottom, so they have sort of a fresh surface. And then we picked ones with lots of leaves. All right. So this is stage 1 of the experiment, because now you just want to let it sit. You want to let it sit overnight, or you want to let it sit for 24 hours. The more time, the better, to give you a chance to really see the difference of what is going to happen. But when we're doing science experiments, we always like to do a hypothesis. So if you've heard of that before, it's making a guess about what you think is going to happen in your experiment. So I know Thula already saw the example, but Thula, do you have a guess about what's going to happen to these plants as they drink the water?
The leaves are going to turn into the color that it has.
That's a very good hypothesis. That's what we think is going to happen, because we think that the same way that nutrients get carried through the water to the rest of the plant, this food coloring is going to get carried with the water to the rest of the plant. And we're going to see, oh, that one must have food coloring. It's really not stirred in, so it got it right away. But it's going to carry through the plant, and you're going to see it the most in the leaves because they're the thinnest cells. The water, we'll also see this if we try our flowers. So what I have here are some really light green carnations, and although the capillaries are not going to move quite as fast as they do in the celery, we can put 1 flower in each color. And I think we will also see the leaves or the flower petals change color over time. All right, so that's our guess. We're going to see the leaves and the petals change color, right? All right, so now through the magic of being prepared, I'm going to bring in ones that we set up yesterday. You got them, Thula? I'll get the third one. All right. So yesterday we did a red, an orange, and a blue. And we did our celery stalks, and we did our flowers as well. So what we've seen here, what differences do you see, Thula? I know it can be hard to see on the film, but maybe we can describe it for y'all. So remember, this is what plain celery looks like next to it. What's the difference between this original celery and that blue cup?
Well, this celery leaves have regular green, and this one has some blue, and the flowers have some blue on the tips.
Yeah, it really does. The blue came through the strongest of all three of the colors we did yesterday. I'm going to get it a little closer so you guys can really see that shaded blue color that's appearing, and the leaves have really changed colors. And then on the flower, you can also see how it's depositing just at the edges of those carnations. You can really see the blue edges are starting to happen. And I think they'll turn more blue over more time. But I think carnations, it just happens a lot slower than with the celery. So I'm going to look real quick and see. I'd say our other carnations, we don't see much difference on them yet. So we'll leave those in for later. But we can also see that the leaves have changed color in our celery in the orange. It's not as dramatic, but they do, especially when you put it next to the regular celery. They do have a little bit of a difference, and you can see a bit more orange in there.
And also on some of the bottoms, you can see like blue through the drinking straws.
Yeah, you can really see it. So yeah, like I said, those xylem or, and you can see this one's a little red. The xylem or capillary action that's happening is happening through what we call those little drinking straws at the bottom. So you can actually, orange? That's the orange one, yeah. So you can actually see them, you know when you break apart celery, sometimes it gets kind of stringy? That's the xylem. So if we break this and sort of peel, we can actually see
the drinking
straw xylems are orange. And orange is a little hard to see against green, so let's try the blue one. Will you do that one for me? But I can see it here in person that it's green. Ooh, yeah, really hold that up to the camera. See how blue the xylem turned in that one? So if you're only going to do one color, I definitely recommend blue. It's going to be the most dramatic. It's just a stronger dye, and it just adheres more as the water goes up. But yeah, you can see these are our xylem we were talking about, and they've really changed color. Let's see if I can put them against a white piece of paper for you. You can really see that blue color, and you can see how they're getting curled because we sort of pulled them out of their stalk, but they would be straight through the stalk. All right. Should we try, this was the orange one, right?
Yeah.
Should we try the red one too?
I just see a little bit of red through it.
Yeah, that one you can see is like a paler color.
I'm going to cut it.
Okay, go ahead and cut and see what we see.
There isn't much.
Yeah, you can kind of tell. It's hard to see
Barely
with the light, but you can still see those little dots of where the xylem are and how it's turned red. Thula, what do you think would happen if we leave this for another day? Any hypothesis?
It will turn more of the color that it's put in.
That's what I think too. So maybe we'll leave ours for some more days and see what happens. I definitely think that because we can see how these carnations are starting to get the blue, we know that they're drinking the water, and we know that they're getting that blue, and we can see that it's like evaporating on the outermost edges of the plant first, right? So I think we're going to leave our carnations in the red and the orange and the new ones we did too for a little bit longer and see if they change color more completely, because I think that would be pretty. Then we'd have a rainbow bouquet, right? All right. So that is our first experiment of the day. It's our celery science, learning about capillary action, and how plants drink and absorb water and nutrients. Pretty cool, right? Oh, you okay? All right, so that's experiment number 1. For our second experiment of the day, we are going to show off, what do we call the second one, Thula? Let me move some of these out of my face.
A veggie volcano that you put in squash.
Yes. So we're going to do a veggie volcano. So what we have here is a kabocha squash, and it still has the seeds inside. And if we want the seeds to erupt, you do need to loosen them first. If you just cut the top and they're all still in there kind of attached by the stringy inside parts of a squash, they're probably not going to erupt because they'll be too attached. But so we're going to do a classic chemical reaction. The combination of an acid and a base is going to create a kind of exciting reaction. So we're using vinegar, that's what's in this cup.
And we put some dish soap in here already. So
Exactly.
We don't have to put more yet.
Yeah, so we put about 3/4 of a cup of vinegar, but the amounts depend on what size container you're doing. And then a tiny bit of dish soap, because that's going to make our erupting volcano a little more bubbly. And then choose what color you want to make our lava today, Thula. You can get some lava going. And then
maybe lime green.
Okay, let's do lime green lava. So while Thula puts together some food coloring, again, we're going to add it right into our vinegar because it's going to mix better into a liquid. And while she adds that, I'm going to add so vinegar is our acid. I'm going to add our base. And yeah, just to show, we're using just regular white vinegar. And then baking soda. I'm going to do 2 spoonfuls right into our kabocha squash volcano. It looks kind of like it could be a mountain, right? So I'm going to add 2 big spoonfuls of baking soda. And again, this is not an exact measurement. It's more about the size of your container. Also, if you want to do this in just a glass or in a Tupperware, it will still work. Or in a soda bottle, you can still get the same effect. But I thought it would be fun to make a veggie volcano. Actually, it was all Thula's idea, right? To do a veggie volcano. And we aren't going to waste this veggie, by the way. After we make the volcano, we'll rinse it and we'll roast it up and still eat everything. So just so you know.
And the seeds.
And the seeds. Yeah, we're going to roast the seeds and make a delicious snack.
I need like
Oh, where's your stirrer? I'll just get you a spoon. Here's a spoon to stir in your color. All right, so
lime green.
We're going to get, I hope, an impressive reaction with our veggie volcano. But it does mean that it's going to erupt. So you can do this at home. You can always put it in a Tupperware on a baking sheet to make the mess not too messy. But we think it'll look cooler on the video if we don't put it in anything, right? We'll just leave it to erupt on our counter. We just made sure we made space. You could put down newspaper. And the reaction that's going to happen between the base of baking soda and the acid of vinegar is it's going to create carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is super bubbly, and we're going to see some excitement. All right, what's your hypothesis? You've done this before, right? This is a fun science experiment.
It's going to bubble up around the place.
Okay. Do you think, here's the question, do you think the pumpkin seeds that are in this squash, do you think they're going to erupt too?
Yep.
Okay, let's hope. Let's see if it happens this time. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Wow! Do you see this? Ah, you were right. I see the seeds coming on out. Looks pretty cool. Looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna. What do you think, Thula? Did it do what you expected? Yeah. I'm gonna show it. All right. Show that volcano. You can look inside. It's just still slowly bubbling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you for doing some kitchen science with me. I hope you guys get a chance to try these experiments at home and learn a little bit more about how our plants drink water and get to do something fun with baking soda and vinegar. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, are you putting the seeds back in?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And like I said, we're going to rinse these off and we'll bake them up and they'll be pretty tasty, right?
I'm washing my hands.
You're washing your hands in the vinegar. Ooh, you might need to wash them again in the sink. Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining us today, and have a great week. We'll see you next week at 3:30 for another lesson next week with Miss Juan on the farm to learn all about the honeybees and what they do in the winter.